Alright, so we're gonna talk about JWT tokens, or you can call it JSON Web Tokens. What can you use those for, and how can we attack them? So, in this video, we're gonna talk about what they are and what we're gonna use them for, and how we can attack and hopefully compromise something we can find actually a JSON Web Token. So, first of all, let's look at what a JSON Web Token is. A JSON Web Token is essentially just a text string. Let me just zoom in a bit for you here. As you can see, this drawing illustrates that we have some sort of user management authentication process. We logged in with valid credentials, username, password, and then we're gonna get a JSON Web Token. A JSON Web Token is divided into sections by a dot. As you can see, they did it by colors here to explicit show that we have a dot right there. I think the real JSON Web Token is divided into 3 parts, if I'm not mistaken. I have a JSON Web Token decoder right here, and as you can see, we have 1, 2, 3 parts. And let me zoom in for a bit for you. And when we look at the composition of a JSON Web Token, we will see that it's the header containing the algorithm and the token part, token type. Sorry, we have the payload, the actual data, and that can be anything wish to our need. And the very last one is the verification signature. So, depending on how this is stored, whatever is stored in here, and how the backend is programmed, we can take advantage of altering, in most occasions, the payload part of data. I suspect this is what we're going to do in this particular room for an attack. Let me give you an example of what could happen here. Now imagine that we have this like a sub, whatever, this could be anything. I don't know what it stands for. It could be a subscription number, it could be anything. We can just leave it there for now. The name could be there and whatever, but this one could be, it could be like type, and then it would say user. If it would say user like that, I could probably think, well, could I then write admin there instead? Would that be possible? Could I then just write admin? Or is there a part called mod for moderator? So I would definitely try to write admin and then copy paste that token right there, do the usual dingle dangle, paste it in the browser, refresh the browser and see what happens. So this is the general idea. So what we're going to do now is go into the lab, hopefully capture a JSON Web Token, put it in here, replace it, and see what we get for the header, the payload, and the verification signature. Now, hopefully we can just alter some parts in the data. For example, a name. It could also be that it said like user, and it would then say John _ Doe. And if we then try to create different kind of accounts and saw some sort of pattern to that they just do underscores and name, we could try and replace that, and that is the general idea behind JSON Web Tokens. So let's go ahead and try and do a lab with a brief introduction here. Let's scroll down. We have the JWT labs. Let's view them all. So we have a JWT authentication bypass via unverified signature, flawed signature verification, and bypass with weak signing key, header injection, header path, and different kind of exercises. Were there something on the other page? They do talk about the 3 parts here. Let me see. I highly suggest you read the text, by the way. So there's one here. It's the very first one. So we're just gonna take that. I guess they're gonna talk about, among the other things, that you hidden tokens, the alg parameter tells the server with algorithms used to sign the token, therefore with algorithms you need to verify the token. So this is inherently flawed because the server has no option but to implicitly trust user controllable input from the token, which at this point hasn't been verified at all. On the other hand, an attacker could directly influence how the server checks whether the token is trustworthy. JWTs can be signed using a range of different algorithms, but can also be left unassigned. In this case, the ALT parameter is set to none, which indicates a so-called unsecured JWT. Due to the obvious dangers of this, servers usually direct tokens with no signature. However, this kind of filtering relies on string parsing. You can sometimes bypass these filters using classic obfuscation techniques such as mixing capitalization and unexpected encodings. Even if the token is unsigned, the payload part must still be terminated with a trailing dot. So this is the flawed verification signature. Let me see, unverified. Let's take this one here, apprentice, and there's a solution we can go ahead and check out. And community solutions. It's a video, okay. And solution you can also check out that we can go and do stuff like that. It says so. What we're gonna explore in this lab here is probably. Let me see. Can I open this lab here? It's gonna take its time to open, and the reason we're gonna read the solution is because we need to learn as much as possible. So this is the blog. It's a very special subdomain, and I'm pretty sure we can go ahead and press F12, zoom in, and then see if we can find something interesting. Only gonna be one thing there. Let me just refresh, tests, delete that, update, and we're gonna get this back. It's just a domain, and let me see if we can find anything here of interest. I'm gonna go to the network tab, refresh the page, take the actual GET request of the test that I that I put in as a test string, and see what we could get back here. We get refer and all those kind of stuff, and it seems pretty standard everything. So what it would seem we need to do here is probably go ahead and click my account, and we should probably be given a set of credentials, I guess. Yes, we can log in with the Wiener and Peter, so let's do that. I'm going to take Wiener and then write Peter. So now we're logging in, and when we did that, go back to storage and just check out the different parameters. Let me update the page and see. Now we got a value here in this session, not the domain but the value. I'm going to copy paste out that value, put it inside here, so I'm just delete the old one and put the new one in. As you can see, it's quite bigger, but we also have more data. What we see here is that the sub is Wiener, so there is a chance that we can alter this and make the server think that we are not a user. We also see that there's some sort of kit. I don't know what that is. Some sort of ID, key ID. Okay, I guess. And the signature encryption algorithm is RS256, and we can see that there is a base URL encoder and a payload, private key, stuff like that. So everything is good. The idea is that we need to, in some way, replace this token here with a new token that we form in the decoded part, and while we alter in the decoded part, it will be altered in the encoded part. So we're gonna copy paste that and put it in there, delete it, copy paste it, sorry, and then refresh the page by pressing F5 or something, because that is the token we then send to the server, and that's gonna be parsed by the server because the server is made of, I don't know, wool or something. So really bad. So the solution to this is that we're going to the lab. I'm going to use a HTTP proxy, so we have burp ready. I can do that. Let me just put burp up. We take burp there, and we look at the proxy part. So intercept on, and intercept off just for now. And then we're gonna take a look at the post login, the get my account request, observe that your session cookie is a JWT token. Okay, well, we do have that. I just did it in the browser, so skip that part. So we now double click the payload part of the token to view the decoded JSON token part in the inspector panel. Yes, so they want us to use Burp Proxy because they literally develop Burp Proxy, the Portsware guys. So I'm gonna do a little bit of that. So probably to give you another idea of how things look without using Burp Proxy all the way. In Burp Repeater, change the path to admin and send the request. First, the admin panel is only accessible when you're logged into administrator unit user. So we should have so it want me to go to the admin. Okay, so let me just do that. Let me go to admin, just like that. And it says admin interface is only available if you're logged in as administrator. So this basically means that we need to some way, I'm guessing we need to exploit our way by, misusing this token here. Now, we have no idea how this token is created on the back end, so let's go back to the actual tutorial and see that, observe, yes, select the payload of the JWT again. We have done that. In the inspector panel, change the value of the sub claim from MENA to administrator and apply changes. So what it really says, and this is what I originally also pointed out, that the sub is the subject, it's a user, that's short for user. MENA. Now, then we could replace that with something like administrator, for example. And that is highly, highly bad security. Why is it not invalid signature? Yeah. Oh, stop this. So it will say no because this is not the correct signature. We had Wiener. I cannot Wiener. Let me just refresh this now. Now my page is bugging out. So let me take the token one more time. Put that in, and we have the sub right there. So what we're instructed to do, and then the request again, observe that you have successfully accessed the admin panel. In response, find the URL and stuff like that. So let me see if I can take this here and say administrator and put that in there, and it kind of refused to do that here because there is some sort of, I suspect that it's going to read out this part somewhere, either this or some of this part here is dependent on this sub. So let's go back and say we will capture the request. So let's go back and say select the payload, the inspector. Maybe we have another one. Let me see. Maybe that is a bad one. Let me just do JSON Web Token decode. Maybe I can do another one because I really like to show other examples of not administrator of how to do it compared to just using the original tools all the time. So can we alter? No, it only makes me. Let me do the debugger then. Can do that. The string, you put it in. Yes. Let's go ahead and write. Can I do the add mini? So now that we have being able to do that, now the other one was just bad. I'm gonna copy paste the whole string, go back, delete the one there, put it in, press update, and now you can see that we have access to the user Vino and Carlos. And in order to complete the room, navigate to user delete. So we need to use the delete with the HTTP request and delete Carlos. So we're going to do back here and say delete Carlos. And this will give us a successful you solved the lab. Now, I kind of enjoy doing this a little more out of the box compared to just doing everything in Burp. Burp is a beautiful tool, but it is not the only solution. You can do everything without Burp in most occasions, but it's also difficult to do some of the things without burp. So essentially what we did, we logged in, we got giving a pair of credentials here up here in the top, Wiener and Peter as the password. We logged in, we got our JSON Web Token, we copy pasted it, posted it into the JWT string decoder, got the header, the payload, and the public key, and we then altered the sub, and we basically just made that administrator. And what really happens in the backend is there some sort of if sentence going on somewhere, you know. I'm going to try and illustrate what I think is happening on the backend, just an extra. So we can have this there, just like that. So at some point we have this, let me just do some JSON, whatever, and that is equal to all that. So all this here is then put into the JSON. And then at some point we can do like log, and depending on how the API is, we're getting the sub, for example, just like that, into a string. And then at some point during all this, there's going to be an if sentence, probably like this: a equals, for example, administrator. And then we're gonna give, well, then give admin rights. You know, I'm guessing that there's not gonna be an if sentence for every single user, but there's gonna be a specific, you know, if clause saying if you are a user, you have access to the system as normal. If you're not more than that, it could be that there's an if statement asking for administrator as the subject in the word, just like that. Then it's just gonna say, I kind of ignore everything, the verification, everything. I'm just gonna say, yeah, that's fine. So the key used on the back end to evaluate whether the key added on to the subject and then generated some sort of cryptographic component with that, well, nothing really gonna happen here. So I hope that you learned something from this video, and I know it's difficult sometimes to explain everything in mere details, but this is what I guess they're gonna do in the backend. I'm not sure, it's just a guess. It could very much be something different, but not really that different. Okay, so really hope you liked the video, and can see you again online, and have a really nice day. Yeah.